Hey everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. However, this video is something different that I have been wanting to make for a while to help new producers start making music. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys 8 production tips that helped me grow as a producer. It took me some time to think about which tips I think would be the most helpful, and this is what has helped me the most in my personal journey as a music producer. But before we get into this video, I want to ask you guys to go ahead and make sure that you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. It really helps grow the channel, helps stay up to date to any new videos that I make. Go ahead and also drop a comment down below to suggest any content you'd like to see. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the tips. Tip number 1, simplicity is key. Something that I used to struggle with when I began making music was struggling in making things sound elaborate or make complicated melodies. While it's good to want to make complex music, it can cause you to create something that overloads the listener and therefore can cause them to draw away from the song. I've heard lots of songs in which the producer adds lots and lots of layers, and it makes it hard for you to focus on one thing. The problem with creating complicated melodies is that because of its complexity, it can become forgettable since it is hard to sing or hum. A good rule of thumb that I use when making melodies is that if you can't hum or sing it, you're overcomplicating the melody. Tip number 2, set time limits for yourself. Something that can halt you from creating and finishing music is spending too much time on a single element, which in turn can lead to frustration. Something that I try to do is set a time limit for myself when working on a specific element of a song, and if I'm not completely happy with it, I'll focus on other aspects of the song and come back to it with a fresh mind later. It can also help to create challenges for yourself. For example, now that I've been making my 1-hour cover videos, it has pushed me to not overthink the decisions I do while producing a track and to spend my time producing a bit more efficiently. Something I'd also like to add is to limit the amount of time you spend mixing a song, because after a certain amount of time, your ears will become exhausted, and in turn it will affect the decisions you take while mixing. Personally, I think it's best to have 3 different mix sessions, preferably with at least 1 day of rest in between to allow your ears to rest. I'd also recommend to take at least a day or 2 a week in which you don't work on music to allow your brain to reset, which will allow you to gain a new perspective on your music. Tip number 3, always try to increase your production knowledge. Something that I see a lot of producers do is believe that they know everything there is to know about producing music. The reality is that there's always something new to learn, from different mixing techniques to different ways you can improve your workflow. My teacher once told me that in order for one to be successful in this industry, you have to be an eternal student and be open to learning new stuff. There are days where I'll just sit on YouTube and look at different YouTube channels that range from production tutorials, music theory breakdowns, sound design, and videos that break down scores of movies and video games, which I'll leave a few links below to some of the channels that I like to frequent to learn more about production and music. Tip number 4 is use your resources. Now this tip is a bit connected with the last tip, since one resource that I find very useful is YouTube, is that it allows you to access content for free. I use it to help me grow into things that I'm passionate about, such as music production and video production. Something that is also a great resource is other producers. Talk to these other producers, ask them about the workflow, ask them how they got to where they are, ask them for production tips, and try to learn from them and try to create a community of producers to support each other and grow in your crafts together. I'd also say to not be afraid to use websites such as Cymatics or Splice, as using these websites and the samples that they provide can help inspire you to create some great music. Tip number 5, make the music that you want. Something that I always tell people who ask me for advice when making music is to always make the music that they want, and to not be guided by what's trending or popular. I always found that when I was doing what I liked rather than trying to emulate something that is popular, I enjoyed the creative process a lot more since I wasn't trying to fit into a mold. Now I don't want to give the idea that you shouldn't emulate what's popular, because some people find enjoyment in doing that, and that's totally okay. As long as you're making something that you enjoy and makes you happy, make whatever it is you want. Tip number 6, don't be afraid to experiment. This tip is somewhat connected with the previous tip, and it basically means to don't be afraid to try something new. For example, you might be making a house song or a trap song, and typically those songs have a specific formula to how they should sound. However, that doesn't mean that you can't experiment and add your own flavor to the genre you're producing. By doing this, it will help contribute to your identity as a producer. A byproduct of experimenting with different sounds and genres is that you can start developing which genres you like to make, and you start creating your own sound identity. Tip number 7, you can't please everybody. This is something that I still struggle with a bit to this day, but since I started to apply this view while making music, it has allowed me to not doubt myself in the music that I make. You have to realize that no matter what kind of music that you make, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't enjoy it, which is totally okay because we're all humans and we have different tastes and opinions. You have to learn to not let those negative comments affect you, because at the end of the day, a reason why these people may be sending you this hate is because they're projecting something that they can't do. I say the best thing to do is to use this as motivation, because if someone wants to hate on your music, it means that you're doing something right. Last but certainly not least, don't be afraid to fail at your musical endeavors. By choosing to be afraid to fail, It can make you hinder yourself from reaching your full potential as an artist and as a human. Failure is a natural thing of life, and we all experience it at one point or another. The difference will be in how you act when you do fail, and how you pick yourself up after this bump in the road. And don't try to take shortcuts to avoid this failure, such as paying for views or streams, because all you will be doing is creating fake engagement and you won't be creating a genuine fan base. At the end of the day, failure is a much better thing than the regret of not feeling that fulfillment that comes with releasing that song. So those are the tips that have helped me grow as a musical producer. I hope that at least one of them was beneficial to you and that you could put them into practice. There's obviously a lot more that I could talk about, but I felt that these 8 tips were the most beneficial to me in my musical journey. Something that helped me recently was picking up this book called The Practice, Shipping Creative Work by Seth Godin, which I will drop a link down below for you to get a copy. It tackles a lot of things that almost creative people struggle with, such as writer's block and imposter syndrome. I was a bit hesitant to buy it since I'm not a big fan of self-help books, but this book has totally been worth the investment. I think it goes without saying that I'm not affiliated with this author. This is just a book that I found during my musical journey, and I think will be very useful in your own creative journey. Now go ahead and make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date to any new videos that I upload. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment down below with what type of content you'd like to see and if I should make similar videos to this one. So that's going to be it for me today. I hope that you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.